Have you ever met a man who doesn't try, yet somehow he wins? He doesn't chase. He doesn't beg for attention. He doesn't even compete. And yet people, especially women, can't stop thinking about him. He's quiet but not weak. He's calm but not cold. There's something in his presence, an aura that pulls people in without words. He can walk into a room, say almost nothing, and still become the center of gravity. While others try to prove themselves, he just exists. And somehow that makes him magnetic. That, my friend, is not luck. It's not charm. It's Machiavellian psychology, a kind of social power that bends attraction, attention, and emotion without ever appearing to try. This video will show you the dark trick that makes any woman obsess over you. It's not manipulation. It's not pickup artistry. It's understanding human nature at its deepest level, what truly makes people crave you, respect you, and never forget you. But before we get to the method, let's be clear. You're not here to become a manipulator. You're here to master presence, the kind of masculine composure that makes people chase your validation while you remain unbothered. Because the truth is, the moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop needing attention, you start to attract it effortlessly. So stay with me till the end. Because what I'm about to reveal will change the way you think about attraction, control, and the emotional games that rule modern relationships. Once you understand this, you'll never need to impress a woman again. You'll understand what makes her feel drawn to you, without saying a single word. To understand how to make someone obsess over you, you first need to understand the man who discovered how obsession works, Niccolò Machiavelli. He wasn't a lover. He wasn't a saint. He was a strategist. A 16th century political genius who spent his life watching kings rise, empires fall, and human nature reveal its darkest truths. He learned something that most people still refuse to accept. Humans are not moved by kindness. They are moved by power, by emotion, by uncertainty. Machiavelli studied how power operated beneath the surface, how fear, desire, and curiosity could shape people's actions far more than reason ever could. And what he discovered was chilling, and yet strangely familiar. He realized that control and attraction are the same game, two sides of the same psychological coin. The ruler who wants loyalty and the lover who wants devotion, both depend on the same emotional mechanism, the ability to create emotional tension, to make others feel both safe and uncertain at the same time. Because when you're predictable, you're forgettable. But when you're calm, mysterious, and slightly unpredictable, you become addictive. And this wasn't just theory for Machiavelli. He saw it play out among the most powerful people of his time. A king who showed too much mercy was overthrown. A ruler who revealed too much of his mind lost respect. And those who controlled emotion, both their own and others, ruled effortlessly. So what does this have to do with attraction? Everything. Because attraction is not born from looks or words. It's born from the emotional experiences you trigger in someone's mind. And if you can control those experiences, even subtly, you can create a kind of obsession that logic can't undo. Machiavelli called this control the principle of calculated unpredictability. A balance between warmth and withdrawal, interest and detachment, safety and danger. It's what makes someone feel, I want to understand him. I want to be near him, but I can't quite figure him out. And that tension? That mystery? That's where emotional obsession begins. Imagine this. Two men talk to the same woman. The first tells her everything, where he is, what he's doing, how he feels, what he wants. At first she feels secure. But soon she stops thinking about him. Why? Because there's no emotional tension. He's predictable. But the second man, he's calm, present, detached. He listens more than he speaks. He gives warmth but not constantly. He shows interest but never neediness. When he's silent, it's not emptiness, it's energy. And she can feel it. That silence makes her wonder. Her mind begins to loop. What's he thinking? Why doesn't he chase? Does he even care? That's not confusion. That's attraction amplified through uncertainty. Because curiosity is emotional gravity. And when you can create that gravity, people orbit around you. This is Machiavelli's hidden secret. To make someone obsessed, don't feed them constant attention. Feed them controlled uncertainty. Because certainty breeds comfort, and comfort kills desire. Uncertainty, when done right, makes you unforgettable. Here's what Machiavelli understood before any dating coach, psychologist, or pickup artist ever existed. People don't fall for what's consistent. They fall for what's unpredictable, but emotionally charged. It's not the constant messages that make her think of you. It's the silence in between them. It's not your compliments that make her feel desire. It's your restraint, the moments you don't say what she expects. That space, that gap between what's said and unsaid, that's where obsession grows. Machiavelli called it the power of emotional tension, the art of being both reachable and distant, warm yet mysterious. It's not about playing games. It's about creating contrast, the same psychological mechanism that every addictive story, every thrilling movie, every intoxicating romance is built on. Because if you think about it, what keeps us hooked on anything? It's tension. Not knowing what's coming next. That's what keeps the human brain engaged. It craves unpredictability. And this same principle applies to attraction. When someone always knows what you'll say, when you'll reply, or how you'll act, their emotional curiosity dies. The dopamine stops flowing. You become emotionally flat. But when your energy has rhythm, when you're calm but not passive, available but not predictable, the brain starts chasing that pattern like an unsolved puzzle. That's the secret Machiavellian trick: controlled unpredictability. You control when and how much of yourself you reveal. You never disappear out of spite, you withdraw with purpose. You don't react emotionally, you respond strategically. And most importantly, you keep a part of yourself unknown. Because the unknown is magnetic. The mind can't rest until it fills in the blanks. Think about this: if she always knows what's next, she stops thinking about you. But if there's a part of you she can't read, she'll replay your words, your tone, your silence, over and over again. That loop is where attraction becomes fixation. Let's make this real. Imagine two messages. The first man texts her, "Good morning, beautiful, I was thinking of you all night." The second man waits. He doesn't text at all. Later that evening, when she least expects it, she gets a message. "Hope your day's been treating you well." No emojis. No over-explanation. Just calm, controlled energy. Guess which message makes her heart skip? The second. Why? Because it came with mystery. It made her wonder. It interrupted her pattern. It triggered emotion through timing, not words. That's how Machiavellian psychology works, not by force but by contrast. It's about being unpredictable in small doses, so that every moment of warmth feels rare, valuable, earned. Because when something is scarce, the brain labels it as important. When it's abundant, it fades into the background. Now let's be clear. There's a fine line between emotional mastery and manipulation. Controlled unpredictability is not about ghosting, playing toxic games, or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about maintaining emotional composure, never revealing everything, never over-explaining, never chasing. It's about holding your frame. When you hold your frame, when your actions come from calm intention instead of emotional reaction, you communicate something that's far more powerful than words, that you are a man of value, grounded in self-control. And women feel that instantly. Because deep down, every woman wants to feel emotionally safe, but also alive. And a man who balances those two energies becomes unforgettable. So if you want to create that spark, that sense of mystery, intensity, and pull, remember this: predictability kills passion. Controlled unpredictability ignites it. That's the dark art Machiavelli understood, and it's how great rulers, seducers, and leaders made others chase them, even against logic. Machiavelli's ideas were powerful, but dangerous. He understood how to make people need him. He knew how to trigger obsession. But he also knew the price of power: isolation, paranoia, and emptiness. Because when your entire life revolves around controlling others, you lose control of yourself. And that's where the Stoics drew the line. Men like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus studied human nature too, but instead of controlling others, they sought to control themselves. Where Machiavelli said, "Make them fear your absence," the Stoics said, "Become so centered that their absence doesn't shake your peace." That's the difference between dark psychology and disciplined psychology. Both understand emotion, but only one leads to mastery. The Stoic doesn't use unpredictability to manipulate. He uses it to preserve mystery through balance. He doesn't withdraw to punish. He withdraws to recharge his power. He doesn't play hard to get. He simply isn't easy to shake. That's the kind of man who doesn't need to chase validation, because his self-worth isn't up for negotiation. When you fuse Machiavellian insight with Stoic strength, something extraordinary happens. You become calmly magnetic. Your silence becomes intriguing, not empty. Your distance becomes attractive, not cold. Your focus becomes rare, and therefore valuable. Because here's the truth: a woman doesn't fall for a man who tries to impress her. She falls for the man who impresses himself, who respects his time, his purpose, his energy. When you no longer chase, when you're comfortable with being misunderstood, when you can walk away calmly even from what you want, you reach a level of psychological control that most people never taste. That's Stoic mastery. It's what makes people feel your presence even when you're gone. It's what makes your energy linger long after the conversation ends. It's what turns attraction into a lasting emotional imprint. Let's break this down more deeply. When Machiavelli used detachment, it was cold and calculated. He'd withdraw to dominate, to make others feel dependent. It was power through fear of loss. But the Stoic withdraws from attachment because he knows, if he can't let go, he's not free. If his peace depends on someone's reaction, he's enslaved to emotion. So he practices emotional distance, not out of cruelty but out of clarity. He chooses stillness over chaos, composure over reaction. That stillness, that subtle calm when everyone else is chasing, panicking, or begging, that's what gives him his aura of mystery. He doesn't need to act powerful. He is powerful. Because his power comes from one place only, self-command. Think about the last time you met someone who didn't seem bothered by anything. Not rejection, not waiting, not silence. There's something almost supernatural about that. Because in a world full of people addicted to instant validation, a man who's content in his own company becomes a rare frequency. And rarity creates value. Value creates attraction. Attraction creates obsession. But here's what makes the Stoic version of this power so profound. It's sustainable. Because it doesn't come from manipulation, it comes from mastery. You're not pretending to be mysterious. You are mysterious because your inner world isn't easily accessed. You're not acting calm. You are calm because you've trained yourself to respond, not react. You're not withholding attention to play a game. You're simply selective because you value your energy. This is what separates the emotionally powerful man from the emotional slave. One chases feelings. The other commands them. And when you command your emotions, when you become immune to chaos, silence, or rejection, you unlock the ultimate form of attraction. Peace that feels like power. Because women don't crave chaos. They crave a man who can contain it. They crave emotional gravity, the sense that no matter what happens you remain unshaken. That is Stoic dominance. Not loud. Not aggressive. Just immovable. It's the energy that says, you can come into my world, but you don't control it. That's the moment a woman stops trying to test you, and starts trying to understand you. Because deep down she senses that your mind is your fortress. And she wants to be let inside. That is how you turn Machiavellian dark psychology into Stoic emotional mastery. Not through tricks, but through control. Not through deception, but through discipline. Not through power over others, but power over yourself. You now understand the psychology. You understand the energy. Now let's talk about how to live it. Because power isn't in words, it's in behavior. It's not what you say that makes people obsessed with you. It's how you move, how you respond, how you carry your silence. Let's break it down into the 5 laws Machiavelli hinted at, and the Stoics perfected. Law 1. The law of scarcity. Machiavelli once said, men desire most what they cannot easily possess. That truth has never changed. Every time you make yourself too available, you lose psychological value. It's not cruelty. It's conditioning. So stop offering your time to anyone who asks for it. Stop explaining where you are, why you're busy, or what you're doing. Move with quiet purpose. Because when people can't easily access your attention, they begin to value it. And value creates desire. But remember the Stoic twist. You're not withdrawing to punish. You're withdrawing to preserve your energy. You're not playing games. You're maintaining gravity. A man who gives his attention to everyone is like a candle in the wind. He burns fast and fades quickly. A man who gives it selectively becomes fire in the dark, rare, hypnotic, and unforgettable. Law 2. The law of mystery. People fear silence because silence exposes them. But a Stoic embraces it. Machiavelli used silence to make others speak first, to reveal their intentions. You can do the same. When you talk, talk with purpose. Don't fill space with noise. Pause before you respond. Let your words land. And when you reveal something about yourself, reveal it slowly, intentionally, like a secret that must be earned. Because every time you overshare, you remove the intrigue that makes people think about you after you leave. Mystery isn't about hiding. It's about controlling revelation. When a woman can't fully read you, her mind starts to write stories about you. And those stories are always more powerful than the truth. Let your actions speak more than your words. Let your tone carry more than your explanations. Because when you stop trying to be understood instantly, you become fascinating. Law 3. The law of emotional control. This is the most powerful of all. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler must appear calm even in chaos, because whoever controls their emotions controls perception. The Stoics took it further. They said emotional control is not appearance. It's training. That means you must practice calmness daily. When someone ignores you, don't chase. When someone tests you, don't flinch. When something doesn't go your way, breathe, wait, and respond strategically. Because nothing shakes people more than someone they can't emotionally disturb. And here's what's fascinating. The less reactive you are, the more others start reacting to you. Your silence becomes power. Your calm becomes tension. Your control becomes magnetic. That's why Stoic calmness isn't passivity, it's dominance in its quietest form. Law 4. The law of selective attention. Attention is the currency of attraction. Give it too freely and it loses value. Give it too rarely and it gains power. But here's the key, don't withhold attention to manipulate. Give it with intention. When you're with someone, be fully present, eyes, tone, focus. Make that moment rare and undivided. Then pull back. Let them miss it. That contrast between deep presence and calm distance is what creates emotional craving. People remember how you made them feel seen, especially when that attention feels earned. Because in a world where everyone's desperate for validation, a man who gives it sparingly becomes unforgettable. Law 5. The law of detachment. Machiavelli's detachment was cold. He didn't care who fell as long as he rose. But Stoic detachment is warm, disciplined, and rooted in strength. It's the ability to care without clinging, to love without losing yourself, to give without expecting. And this is what most men never master. Because attachment breeds anxiety. Detachment breeds control. It means you can walk away when necessary, you can stay centered in silence, and you can still wish someone well, even when they no longer choose you. That's the highest level of emotional evolution. Not numbness, not apathy, but unshakable inner peace. When a woman senses that you're emotionally available yet not emotionally dependent, she feels something rare, security in your strength. She realizes that no matter what she does, she can't break your center. And that makes her respect you, crave you, and trust you, all at once. Because true attraction isn't born from fear or control. It's born from freedom. And freedom comes from detachment. When you no longer fear losing someone, you finally become someone they fear losing. That is the core of Machiavellian, Stoic mastery. Not manipulation, not mind games, but energy management. You create contrast. You control revelation. You respond, not react. You give attention sparingly. And you never attach your peace to another person. Do that, and people will chase your presence the way they chase sunlight after a storm. By now you've seen the path. You've seen how Machiavelli observed human nature. How he understood that attraction is emotion, obsession is tension, and desire is scarcity. You've seen how the Stoics transformed that knowledge, from manipulation into mastery, from control over others into control over oneself. And here is the final truth. A man who truly commands presence doesn't need to chase anyone. He doesn't need to impress. He doesn't beg for attention, affection, or validation. He simply exists. He carries his energy like a force field, calm, grounded, untouchable. And in that stillness, others orbit him, drawn like iron to a magnet. Because he has learned what most men never do, that the only power worth having is self-mastery. The only attraction worth sustaining is the one born from respect, tension, and authenticity. He doesn't react to drama. He doesn't surrender to neediness. He doesn't reveal all his cards. And that, my friend, is why women, and people in general, can't stop thinking about him. Because he's rare. Because he's unmoved. Because he is complete on his own. Machiavelli's dark tricks can create obsession. But obsession alone is hollow. It's Stoic mastery that makes it meaningful, sustainable, and deeply magnetic. So, if you want to walk this path, remember these truths. Value your presence. Respect your energy. Respond, don't react. Reveal slowly, intentionally. Detach without losing warmth. Do this and you won't just attract. You won't just intrigue. You will command. Because the world responds to energy, not effort. To calm, not chaos. To self-mastery, not desperation. And when you carry that presence, quietly, firmly, immovably, you become unforgettable. You become the man who doesn't chase but is always sought after. You become a force. A paradox, a stillness that moves everything around it. And that is the dark, Stoic truth of attraction. Walk this path. Master yourself first. And everything else, attention, respect, desire, will follow naturally. Stay grounded. Stay powerful. And walk your path in quiet mastery. Because the man who controls himself, controls everything.